Hi, I'm Rita. Welcome back to my booktube channel, Life Worth Reading. Today I'm filming my 5-star predictions video. So basically this is a list of 15 books that I will read throughout the entire year that I'll give 5 stars to. A lot of people do these types of videos and I always find them so interesting, just learning about a person's expectations about a book they haven't read yet and then comparing to the actual rating that they give after reading the book. So I think it'd be interesting if I gave you my own list that I compiled now. So obviously I could add books throughout the year, but this is the list that I have now of the books that I think I'll give 5 stars to in 2021. And since there are 15 books, I think I'm gonna do like 3 separate videos. So every time that I read 5 books off this list, I'll do a video comparing my prediction to the actual rating that I gave the book, just so I won't do another like end of the year video only. So I'll be updating this throughout the year anytime that I read 5 of these books on the list. So without further ado, let's just get to my 5-star predictions for 2021. The first book that I'm going to mention on this list is the one that I'm actually going to read first, and that is Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. If you still haven't seen my Tarot Picks, my TBR videos, I'll make sure to link it down below and up in the cards. But basically this book came up on my February TBR, so I will be getting to it this month. I still haven't started it, but yeah, that's definitely the first book that I'm getting to on this list. And I'm just so excited about it. I love this series by Talia Hibbert. The first one was Get a Life, Chloe Brown, but I think that this one will be a little different to the first one because the first one has an enemies to lover kind of trope, and this one has a friends to lovers or friends with benefits to lovers trope. And I think I'll really love this book. I love Talia Hibbert's writing. Everybody is raving about it even more than they were with Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I'm not really a romance person, but I don't know, there's just something about Talia Hibbert's books specifically that really speak to me. And yeah, I think that I'm definitely going to give Take a Hint, Danny Brown 5 stars. So that's the first book on this list, and that's the first one that I'll be getting to. The next book that I think I'm definitely going to give 5 stars to is Pachinko by Jin Min Lee. I don't know a lot about Pachinko, but I think it does follow a woman in early 1900s in Korea, which is something that I'm definitely interested in. I do really enjoy reading South Korean literature and learning more about the country, so it is definitely something that I'm already super interested in, and the reviews have just been amazing. Everybody that I follow that has read this book has given it 5 stars or very close to that. And so I think that is a story that follows generations of the same family, which is something that I do love reading about. I love intergenerational stories and learning more about a family and their journey. And yeah, I'm really excited to get to it. It's something that I haven't read in a while, like a really good intergenerational story. So I'm definitely hyped up about getting to this book, and I hope that I give it 5 stars. The next book that I want to talk about is This Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. Honestly, I've been so hyped about reading this book ever since it came out last year. I have just been so excited to get to it. I think this is the one that I'll be definitely purchasing a physical copy from because the cover is beautiful and I think that I'm really gonna love it. I still haven't seen a lot of 5 stars to that book. It's more like a 4-star kind of reviews that I read, but it still makes me super excited to read this book, and I hope that I'll be one of the people that gives it 5 stars. Because it does sound truly amazing. Basically, This Violent Delights is a Romeo and Juliet retelling, but set in Shanghai in the 1920s. And just everything about that sounds really wonderful and creative. And I can't wait to read this book. And I hope that I give it 5 stars because I will definitely be getting a physical copy of this book. The next book that I want to talk about is In the Dreamhouse by Carmen Machado. This will definitely be a sad 5 stars. Like, I can feel it already. It will not be a happy, wow, I really love this book 5 stars. It'll be, wow, this book destroyed me 5 stars. Because everyone that has read it has given it a very high rating and a great review, but everybody says that it is like soul destroying. So that's what I won't say excited about, but that's my expectations going into this book. If you don't know, In the Dreamhouse is a memoir that follows a same-sex relationship between Carmen Machado and one of her girlfriends, I believe. And it is a story of her abuse in that relationship and how she learned to deal with that. But yes, Carmen Machado's In the Dreamhouse. I'm really looking forward to reading this book. I haven't seen a lot of books that maybe thankfully, that follow abuse in same-sex relationships. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to exploring and hearing about her story in this relationship. So that's a sad 5 stars that I'm definitely gonna give to In the Dreamhouse. Then the next book that I want to talk about is The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. I still haven't read a Kristin Hannah book, but I really, really want to. And even though that I'm getting a little bit tired of World War II stories, I think that this one will be a really fresh adaptation to that and a really fresh way of looking at World War II, because it does follow two sisters that deal with the consequences of World War II in very different ways, but equally important between them. And it's just a story that everyone has been raving about for years. I still haven't seen a bad review of The Nightingale, and it is a book that I've been meaning to get to for a long time now. And so I think that 2021 is definitely the year that I'll be reading it. And hopefully I'll give it 5 stars, because it seems like a book that I'll definitely give 5 stars to. So yeah, that's another book on this list that I'll be getting to this year. Then we have the only book that I do own physically, and that is The Labyrinth of Spirits by Carlos Ruiz Záfon. This is the last book in the Cemetery Forgotten Books series. If you don't know, because you don't know, because I never mentioned that before, but The Shadow of the Wind, which is the first book in the Cemetery of Forgotten Books, is my all-time favorite book. I love this book with all my heart. If you don't know, The Shadow of the Wind follows a little boy called Daniel in 1950s Barcelona. This is a historical fiction. His dad owns a bookstore, so they've always been really, really connected to reading and books. And so one day his father takes him to the Cemetery of Forgotten Books, which is an underground giant secret library beneath Barcelona, where Daniel is allowed to pick one book, or one book picks him, and he picks The Shadow of the Wind by an author called Julian Carax. And so he starts on this journey trying to find out more about this book that he picked out at this cemetery. And it is so amazing. The mystery is so well done. It is so atmospheric. Carlos Ruiz Záfon's writing is just like otherworldly. I love this book with all my heart. And so this book starts the series of the Cemetery of Forgotten Books. This could be a standalone, like the story ends, and in the second book, The Angel's Game, it's kind of like a prequel to this book. And in the third book, which is called Prisoner of Heaven, we follow a character's past from this book. But The Labyrinth of Spirits actually does follow Daniel and these other characters from the first book. It follows their story of lots of years later, and I actually don't know what happens in this book, but it's a very big chunker. And I have just been scared to read it ever since I bought it, because it is the end of my favorite series. I don't want to say goodbye to these characters. I don't want to know what happens. And so I've been really putting off reading this book, but I think that 2021 is a time for me to read it. And I'm really excited about it, and I hope I give it 5 stars, because a lot of people say that it's the best one in the series and that it's even better than Shadow of the Wind. And so I'm really sad that I'll be ending this, but I hope I give it 5 stars, because I don't know, I'm scared to read it because I love the series so much. So yeah. Then another book that I'll be definitely giving sad 5 stars to is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This is a memoir of the girl that was raped by Brock Turner in that really Stanford, I think it is, that big university scandal that happened a few years ago, where this athlete, Brock Turner, raped a girl behind a dumpster, but still kind of got away with it because he was, white privilege athlete boy. So, you know what it is. Like, unfortunately, that's mostly how the world works. And yeah, now Chanel Miller has come out with a memoir, I think 2 years ago maybe, and where she tells her story. And every single review that I've read says that she is an amazing writer, that she has a really great way with words, and that this book is just absolutely heartbreaking. And I don't know, I feel so connected to memoirs. I really do love memoirs. And when a memoir is really well written, you just feel everything. And I think that I'm going to give this book 5 stars, because everybody says that this book is just superb. So I'm really nervous to read it because it is such a sad story, but I think that Chanel Miller really takes a stand in protecting herself and what happened to her, while still putting that story out there for others to relate to, which was really brave of her. And so I'm really excited to read this book, and I think that I'll be giving it the sad 5 stars. Then we have a really happy book that I'm so excited to get to, and that is Love in Color by Bolu Babalola. I heard about this book from Pretty X Bookish. Can you tell that I absolutely love her and her channel and her bookstagram and just every single thing that she does? I think that you can tell. Basically, this is an anthology of these short stories that talk about love in colors. So I think that people of color's experiences with love I think that it's like from the entire world. I don't think it's just like Africa centered. I think that she tells stories that are really just worldwide, and I'm so excited to get to this. It seems like a really happy book just about love, and I kind of love that. And she said that it was one of the best books that she read in 2020, and so I'm very much looking forward to this one, and I hope that I give it 5 stars. And can we talk about the cover? Because like the cover gives me such good happy vibes. I don't know, I'm really excited about this book. Then we have Lovely War by Julie Berry. I have been hearing non-stop raving reviews about this book, and I am really looking forward to giving it a try. Apparently, it's also a love story set in World War I, so at least it's different this time. And it's told by Greek gods, which sounds like a really interesting mix between a historical fiction and, you know, like a mythology-based book. It sounds super interesting to me. Everybody that has read it seems to really, really love it. I first heard it from Haley in Bookland, but a lot of other booktubers recently have read it and also loved it. So I'm really excited to give this one a try, and I think I'll be giving it 5 stars because I love historical fictions. I love anything related to Greek gods. So it just seems like a really good mix and a really good way of knowing that I'll probably give this book 5 stars. Another book that I think I'll give 5 stars to is The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abi Daré. This book follows a girl that grows up in a rural Nigerian village that longs to get an education so she can amplify and get a voice and help other girls do the same. And the reviews on Goodreads are just outstanding. I haven't seen a book with such a high rating in a long time. And I don't know, just the theme of it seems amazing, and if the writing is good, which I think it'll be, I'm so excited to get to this book. It just seems like a really wonderful tale of just girls looking to find their own voice, which I think is a beautiful topic to explore, especially in an own voices experience. And so I'm really looking forward to reading this book, and I think I'll be one of the thousands of people that gives it 5 stars. Then we have another sad 5 stars, and I think that'll be The Death of Vivek OG by Akwaeke Emezi. Everybody has read this book already. It was released in 2020. It was a really big release, and apparently everybody cried and bawled their eyes out reading this book. They said it was like also soul destroying, kind of like in the Dreamhouse by Carmen Machado. And you know what? I'm ready. I'm ready to be absolutely destroyed, you know? Do I know what this book follows? Not really. I think that the synopsis is vague, kind of on purpose, and I wanted to keep it that way. But from what I know, it is about a mother that opens her door and finds her son's, like baby son, I think, body wrapped up in some kind of fabric. I'm not sure what it is. And I think that the story follows from there. I don't want to know more about it. I just want to go into it kind of blind. So I'm sorry that I can give you a better synopsis or description of the book, but I want to cry. I want this book to hurt me the way that it has beautifully hurt other people. And so I am just ready for this book to destroy me and for me to give it 5 stars. On a happier note, I want to talk about Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. I have never read anything from this author before, but this 2020 fantasy release got everyone talking, and I'm really curious to see what the hype is all about and if I think I'll love it as much as everyone else did. I first heard about this book from Noel Gallagher's book club with Elias and Fictional Fates Joel, and they read it, and apparently all 3 of them really, really enjoyed it. And then, more recently, Lala Loves Lit, which is a channel that I really do love, she said that she really, really loved this book. And it just kind of got me thinking, okay, maybe I'll really love it too if everyone else seems to be loving it. And so I think that I'll give 5 stars too. I don't read a lot of adult fantasy yet, but this one seems really accessible for someone that hasn't read a lot of adult fantasy. And so I hope that I do really love it and that I give it 5 stars. Oh, and let me tell you, I don't know anything about this book. I literally don't know what it follows. I don't want to know. I want to go into it totally blind. So I'm sorry I can't give you a synopsis of the book. Then the next book that I want to talk about is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. it seems impossible to dislike this book, and so I'm going into it with the mindset that I'll love it. Hopefully. I know that this is a Chinese inspired story about a girl that wants to go into the army. I'm probably saying all that wrong, but I don't really remember what this book is about, and it's also one of them. I don't know, but sometimes in fantasy I like to go into books without knowing much before, so I don't have expectations about what the plot will bring, because I like being surprised. So I really don't know a lot about this book. I only know that everybody loves this trilogy, and I think that I'll really love it, because sometimes you can't trust the hype, but sometimes you can, and I think that this is one of the times that I'm trusting the hype to tell me that I'm really gonna love this book. Another book that I want to talk about is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I mean, talk about a book that's been hyped up last year. I don't think this is also one of those books that I don't think I've seen a single person not love it and not give it 5 stars. I think that tells you everything that you need to know. From what I've heard, it's kind of a middle grade for adults, and everybody just loves this book, and I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of the people that love The House in the Cerulean Sea. And then the last book on this list is last because it is not coming out until November of this year, which is so sad, because when I read the synopsis, I was like, I need this to come out tomorrow. And that book is Within These Wicked Walls by Lauren Blackwood. I haven't seen a lot of people talking about it in their anticipated releases of 2021, and I can't shame them because I only heard about this book so recently on Goodreads, but it sounds so amazing. Apparently it's a retelling of Jane Eyre, which I still haven't read, so I'll probably get to that first. But it's a retelling, and apparently the house that this book is set in is really wicked, and there's a lot of evil within the wicked walls. You know, how smart am I, right? But apparently there's just a lot of horror elements to this book. I'm not sure if this book is a horror novel, but it seems that there's a lot of evil, creepy undertones to it. And honestly, the author wrote a review for her book where she said, if you love kissing, creepy stuff, and banter for days, pull up a chair in the right place. And I was like, you know what? I love all of those things. I love kissing, I love banter, and I love creepy stuff. So I was like, you know what, Lauren Blackwood, I am in the right place, and I can't wait for this book to come out. I think it'll be a really easy 5 stars for me. It sounds super amazing, so intriguing, seems like so much fun, and I just can't wait for it. And that is the last book on this list that is a 5-star prediction for me. I can't wait till November comes and I get to read this book. Thank you very much. Okay, so those are the 15 books in 2021 that I think I'll give 5 stars to, and I hope that I'm right about all of them. What are some of your 5-star predictions for 2021? Do let me know. Have you read any of the books that I talked about on this list? What did you think of them? Were any of them 5 stars for you? And yeah, just comment down below anything that you want, basically, because I am always here to respond. So yeah, give me your thoughts on any of the books that I talked about. As always, if you enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content, and I'll see you in my next video. I hope you have a nice day, and always remember that life is worth reading.